Oh, man. We've had exactly 0 customers today. You know that? Like, literally 0.
Dude, we've had exactly 0 customers this entire month.
It's almost Thanksgiving. Shouldn't people want to, I don't know, rent movies for family time or whatever?
Yeah, family time. The only family time we get here is that family of mice living behind the romance section.
Hey, those mice have excellent taste. I saw one of them trying to drag Sleepless in Seattle into their nest yesterday, okay?
Well, at least someone's watching the inventory. Speaking of which,
Uh-huh. It's movie time. For tonight's viewing displeasure, the Hoboken Chicken Emergency. I feel like this one's gonna put us in the right headspace for Thanksgiving, Grimey.
pop it in. I can barely contain my excitement.
Topping the news again today is the giant chicken scare, which has reached epidemic proportions. An ugly situation, which nearly turned into a riot, erupted this morning outside a poultry market. And many supermarkets report a drop in business as they are closing early.
When you weigh 266 pounds, you get pretty hungry. But Henrietta discovered the solution for her problem. She had a passion for potatoes.
Wow. That certainly involved a bird.
A 266-pound bird.
To be
By
exact.
the way, Grimey. Don't forget that. Exactly. To be exact. Wow. I don't even know how I came across this one, but it's certainly not one that I've ever heard anybody talk about. At least not in my life or in my circles.
No, me either. Apparently it's based on a book. Did you know that at all?
Well, here's the thing about that. If I could read, I might have known that it was based on a book.
Oh, that makes sense. So, just a little bit of backstory here. The Hoboken Chicken Emergency is a 1984 TV movie based on the children's novel by Daniel Pinkwater, first published in 1977, which follows the story of Arthur Bobowicz, a young boy in Hoboken, New Jersey, who was sent by his family to get a turkey for Thanksgiving dinner. Unable to find a turkey, he instead brings home a 266 fucking pound chicken named Henrietta.
I'm sorry. What did you say the main child actor's character's name was?
So
in
that's
this?
Arthur Bobowicz.
Oh, I think you meant Cash. I think his name was Cash.
Why was his name
Make it out to
Cash?
Cash. Because nobody knows how to spell it.
Right. You know who he is.
Okay, so it took me and you a little while before we actually figured out who it was. Because let's be honest, this is not like the most high quality tape that we've ever watched. It's pretty fuzzy at times. It can get a little washed out, little drab. I wish there was like a better version of this that we could watch, but I can't find a better version. So I'm squinting and staring and trying to figure out who this little blonde-haired kid is. And then all of a sudden I look at you and what did I say?
You said, is that fucking Pete Billingsley? Ralphie is in the Hoboken Chicken Emergency?
I just don't ever think of him as being in anything other than A Christmas Story.
No, it's sacrilegious. It's fucking weird.
It is. And I know he's got the elf bit, in the movie Elf. And everybody loves to pretend like that's some unknown little trivia fact. Like, do you know that's actually the kid? It's like, yeah, we all know by now. Elf is 21 years old. We get it. But you know what people aren't going to know is that Ralphie before he was even in A Christmas Story, starred in a little Thanksgiving movie. And it's, I don't know how Thanksgiving-y it really is, but if it were a turkey, maybe that'd be different. But, Ralphie, a giant chicken, New Jersey. What else screams Thanksgiving more than that?
Oh, it's very Thanksgiving. Actually, they play this 24 hours on Thanksgiving Day, but people are usually too busy watching the parade and the dog show to really notice.
Yeah, it's like on Spike TV Plus, streaming only.
Right after the Man Show, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, exactly. They won't tell you. People won't let on, but grown men love the Hoboken Chicken Emergency.
Hey, man, at least 2 of them anyway.
Yeah, hey, count me in. I'm a fan.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, that's really the only cast member I feel like diving into on this one. He's the only one I care about. Yeah, Pete Billingsley, fucking awesome to see him something else that's not the Christmas Story. It's I don't want to say it's awesome, but it is. It feels weird. Yeah, I feel better saying that.
And okay, here's the only other person, and I don't know, maybe this is like me showing my age, how much of a young sprout I am, or however people are going to, take it. But the only other person that I guess I kind of know was Dick Van Patten. He's playing the mayor. And I said to you, I was like, that name came up on the screen during the opening credits, and I said, Dick Van Patten. And all I can think of whenever I hear that is that quote from Wayne's World when he's like talking in another language, Wayne, and he's like, da 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 da, Dick Van Patten. And then he like keeps going. And I'm looking at his IMDb, and like, I guess I have seen some Dick Van Patten movies, like parts that he plays, but it's not like he was in my regular rotation growing up. He was kind of a generation or two before me in the movies that I tend to like to watch. But hey, if you've seen Spaceballs, Grimey, which I know you have, he plays
Absolutely.
King Roland. So
okay, it counts.
got that.
Yeah, he's got something going for him. That's good. Okay, so
Yeah.
Dick Van Patten and Pete Billingsley, the only 2 characters that really matter in this.
Pretty much. We got some other characters. We'll cover them, but yeah, those are the 2 heavy hitters, I suppose, on the cast.
Absolutely. So shall we jump into the plot a little bit here? And
oh yes, please. You were like scribbling furiously. You were diligently taking notes throughout this because there's just so much disbelief, shock, and awe on your face while we were watching. Like, did that just happen? Am I getting this right?
it's wild, man. There's some a lot of weird shit going on with this one, and yeah, let's get into it. So
yeah, lead the way.
There's a Thanksgiving emergency. Turkeys are in short supply because truckers are striking against city transport tax, and Arthur is promptly advised by his father to go and grab a turkey before they're all gone. So he heads to the store, which is closed, and hanging out the window is this mad scientist, Benny. What is his name? Benny what's?
Well, the actor's name was Benny Baker.
Benny Baker, yeah.
But if I didn't know Dick Van Patten, I sure as hell don't know Benny Baker.
Yeah,
okay.
right.
And I'm sure there's some fan of like silent cinema out there screaming at their radio right now, like, you don't know Benny Baker? I'm sorry, I don't. I can do better for you next time, though.
And I'm horrible with names. If Derek don't know it, I sure as fuck don't know it. Oh my god. So this mad scientist, I don't even remember his name. Do you remember his name? Holy shit.
I don't even know that he has a name. I just know that little Ralphie keeps calling him the professor.
The professor.
Hey, but professor. We'll get into that too. You're not understanding what I'm doing right now. We'll talk about it in just a moment. But anyways, he goes to the professor. He goes up to his apartment. It's an apartment, by the way, which is the craziest bit about this.
Yeah, a little bit. It's kind of strange. So he goes up into this apartment, and the scientist basically forces on Arthur a giant live chicken on a leash. I mean, and when I say giant, he's, like we said, 266 pounds. So the chicken's like double the size of Arthur, and he takes it home to his parents. Parents are pissed, or at least mom is so far, but she breaks really quickly and says she seems friendly in a dumb sort of way, just kind of calling the chicken out right from the get-go that it's stupid.
Okay, all right, wait. You know, here's the thing about the mom calling the chicken stupid. She took that like an absolute dunk, like Jordan leaping for the rim. Like, I'm gonna make the most insane play that you've ever seen. That chicken's stupid. Of course it's stupid. It's a fucking chicken. Like, oh great. What did you expect? That just because it's big, it was going to be somehow smarter? Like, would you have been any happier if the chicken was smart or if it possessed human intelligence? No. then you'd be mad that a chicken was as smart as a human. So there's no winning with this woman and her displeasure with the chicken's brains or lack thereof.
Yeah. It's plus chicken being friendly in a smart kind of way doesn't sound near as fun. So
It's true. That is true. I mean, there's no hijinks to be had there.
So the mom states later that the price of the bird was actually kind of a bargain when you compare it to other normal pets. So she's not counting for this bird being 2 people. Like, it's 266 pounds. I feel like she's kind of wrong here in her assumption that it's a little bit cheaper than a regular pet.
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty cheap, especially when you're considering how much pet you're getting. And, at any point, you could eat said pet. And, I mean, think of the meat to cost ratio that you're getting off of that giant bird. It's like, yeah, you love them today, but when you're sick of them tomorrow, I mean, we can feast on that dark meat for at least a month.
Hopefully they have room in their refrigerator, or I have lots of family members, because 266 pounds of chicken flesh, man, that's a lot of meat.
Well, here's the thing, okay? I mean, it is approaching the winter season. You butcher that properly and you find a cold spot of the roof on the top of their apartment building, that'll keep till spring. So you're eating chicken basically all winter long for the cost of $25.
Oh, well, it wasn't even $25. It was $20.
I'm sorry, for $20.
$20.
See,
Yeah, it's
even
very
more
cheap.
of a deal.
Yeah.
More of a deal. Like, God. A pet, a friend, and dinner all wrapped into one. I mean, what more could you ask for?
You couldn't ask for more, really. But I feel like once you name the pet, it's already past the eating phase. Like, you're no longer going to eat your pet if you've named it. And they've named it Henrietta, the best name for a chicken, I feel like. Because it's a hen.
Hen, yeah, haha, yeah, I get it. Also, just to double down on your idea that you've named it so you can't eat it, tell that to Homer Simpson in his lobster, Pinchy. Okay? He ate it, and Pinchy was succulent. So, there's always a chance.
That's true, yeah. Rest in peace, Pinchy. Eventually, they're at the park. Arthur and Henrietta, they're at this park, and he's like showing it how to go up a slide and go down the slide and play around in the park. And eventually she goes down the slide and a dog comes up and starts attacking the shit out of Henrietta, and she freaks out, runs off. Little Ralphie's going around trying to find her, finds her up on top of this building. So now they've got an issue. There's giant chickens on the top of the building. It's freaking people out. And I don't know if you caught that lady in the scene where she's up on top of this, like, in one of the higher apartments, hanging out the window to see the chickens out there. And, like, the weirdest response. She looks outside. She seems cool as a cucumber. But then she goes back in the window. And, like, 5 seconds, the timing is so off. Screams this, like, blood-curdling scream. I'm like, oh, so what? You weren't really expecting that.
Yeah, I did notice that too. It was pretty ridiculous. What's even more ridiculous is during this scene, all the emergency vehicles and everybody show up, and they are under the impression that it is a polar bear.
It's a polar bear
on the roof for some reason, which I get it. A 6 or 7 foot tall hen seems pretty unbelievable, but it's almost like the emergency personnel don't want to believe Ralphie when he says, that's not a polar bear, that's a chicken. And it's like they're holding on to this idea that a polar bear being on a roof is more plausible in New Jersey than a giant chicken. And it's like, I would just so much more be ready and willing to believe that it's a giant chicken, because, like, where the fuck's a polar bear coming from?
No. Polar bears, they're all over in Jersey. That's what they're known for. Polar bears and gardens.
Oh, gardens too. Yeah, I've heard about that. Yeah, and Six Flags, they've got that down there. So
yeah,
there's a lot.
We've mentioned already that this came before A Christmas Story, but I'm already seeing some similarities here where the fire department shows up. I'm not really sure what the fire department was supposed to do here in this case.
The only thing I can think is, like, they've got axes on the truck. Maybe they're just going to go up there and butcher that chicken.
Throw it. Like, well, there's nothing else we can do here. Just throw the axe up at the bird. Hope for the best. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Very, very odd. It's just an odd thing. But you know what is more odd than the fire department showing up? The fact that there's a 7 foot tall, 266 pound chicken on the roof. So I guess in that sense, it's like, well, what are you really going to do? Like, who are you going to call? Like, is there a Ghostbusters unit. Like, okay, like, New York has the Ghostbusters. Does that mean that New Jersey would have to have like a Chicken Busters unit? Is that kind of the one-to-one there?
No, that comes later, and he's from Florida.
Oh, you know what? I never even made that. I was just trying to riff, and you actually are right about that. Continue.
That comes later. Yeah.
Yep.
So anyways, Arthur manages to get his fucking chicken down with the ladder. He like coerces her and like kind of teases her. It's like, oh, I guess, like a little kid. I guess you ain't coming down. You're too much of a bitch. And he comes down after, or she comes down the ladder after all that coercing, I guess.
That is a sight to behold, by the way, because, I'm going to pull back the curtain a little bit for everybody. This isn't a real chicken. This is a guy in a chicken costume.
Yeah,
Okay?
very similar to what was it, Franken-Turkey in that Bone Chillers episode? It's very similar to, I don't remember what that bird's name was, the turkey from there.
Oh, you're putting me on the spot.
Sorry,
don't ask
man.
me.
Yeah.
I can't remember. But so yeah, it's very surreal to see a man in a giant chicken costume clearly struggling to climb up and down a ladder. And the best take that they were able to get, like, you're watching and you're kind of nervous for the guy in the chicken suit. You're like, oh damn, like he's doing something very dangerous right now. He's got these big rubber feet that clearly have no traction and are like twice as big as his actual feet are. It's like, this guy could fall down this ladder at any minute, and he might have actually. We don't know. That could have been in the outtake.
And I feel like the movie is just super low quality, so maybe we just couldn't see any harnesses or anything, but I'm pretty sure there weren't any involved. So,
oh, no. No. They put Fred in a chicken costume. They said, today you're waking up and you're climbing a ladder. Yes, we know that you can't see out of that head. Do your best.
Do what you can do. Yep. So the chicken's down. And miraculously, it makes headlines in the Jersey Post, whatever the fuck the newspaper is. And Arthur's dad, once again pissed. The bird's causing too many issues. He wants her gone. I think he said something about the fridge being all broken because she came in and ran into it or something. Stuff that doesn't happen on camera. And he says, you know what? You got to take it back. I don't care if that professor doesn't want a refund or anything like that. Get my money back. Put this chicken fucking back where it came from. It's a very, very emotional moment. It's like letting go of old Yeller promptly at the end of... No? You don't think?
I guess, because, listen, he's only had this chicken for like 12 hours at this point.
Oh, he's grown so attached, though. I mean, he's already teaching it how to go down the slides and stuff, man.
But if you gave that kid like a pack of Jacks, like Jacks and a rubber ball right after this, he would have forgotten all about that chicken in like 20 minutes.
I don't know. It seems pretty unconvincing to me because he goes into that professor's place for another pet and he sees a square fish and fuck, I can't remember what else is in there, but there's so many other weirder animals. He's like, listen, if I can't have Henrietta, I don't want fucking any of these animals. These animals all suck compared to this fucking 7-foot chicken.
Yeah, but listen, all kids would do that. Well, about anything. It's just a kid trying to get his way. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, he lives in the heart of Jersey. I'm sure if you gave Ralphie a $20 bill after that and you said, you can't have a giant chicken, we live in an apartment in Jersey, go down on the corner with that money and shoot some dice. Like, he'd go shoot some dice and he'd have a great time and forget all about Henrietta.
I totally believe that could happen in a scenario. And we'll get into that a little bit later, too. But this place is very dark. I mean, it's very run down, pretty sketchy at some spots. But anyways, later on that night, the neighbors come over and they're ranting and raving about something was terrorizing the neighborhood. They didn't know what the hell was going on. And well, the family was like, oh, that sounds an awful lot like a 266-pound chicken that might have gotten loose or something. And they're alluding to him being basically this chicken got away. And later, everything just blows up. This small town is going nuts. There's riots. There's looters. Police are driving up on the fucking sidewalks and people are barricading themselves into houses and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And, well, you said, chases, cops, whatever. I want to just mention, because it's very important to me, they did that classic gag where for no reason whatsoever, there's a truck that they don't close the truck bed that is just full of wooden crates, and he goes barreling off away from Henrietta when we find out that she's there, and all of the milk crates go flying all over the road. It's just very important to me because it's just a classic gag, and I've never actually seen it happen, and they do it sincerely in this movie. So I will say, if you're looking for a giant chicken, great, this is the one for you. But if you're looking for a milk crate gag, this one's got it all, folks.
Yeah, it really does. There's another spot here where this guy comes out of the store just running for dear life. He's one of the, I'm assuming, a looter, and he's running straight into the chicken, not realizing it. And he just like skids headfirst into it and then fucking backs out running total opposite direction. Very, like you said off air, very Scooby-Doo of him, like very cartoony. The acting's top notch, let me tell you.
It is a notch. I don't know if it's the top notch, but there's notched acting going on here. That's for sure. You know?
Yeah.
Some great physical work. I will say that.
Yeah, it's confusing to me because a lot of this, it seems like the people are really causing more issues than the bird throughout the entire movie. Like, so the idea is she's hungry, she's on her own, and she needs some food. So she's found out that she really, really enjoys herself a potato or two. So managed to go to different grocery stores, and she's like carving people's bags up and taking their groceries. As long as they have potatoes in them, these people are screwed. But that's really all she's about. Like, you could definitely take care of that really, really quickly. But these people are, like I said, looting.
Yeah, just dump some fucking fries on the street.
Absolutely.
There you go. Like, how hard is this, people? Oh, God. I mean, are you going to get into it now? Or are we going to get into, like, the whole task force and everything? I feel like we're at that point.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, definitely.
I mentioned the mayor, Dick Van Patten. It falls on him because, of course, this is an election year, by the way. He's trying to get elected, or reelected, I should say. So it falls on him and his team to get this chicken situation under control. Otherwise, he can kiss the next election goodbye. All right. And they are really struggling to catch this giant chicken. Now, just 30 seconds ago, you and I proposed the best, easiest, simplest solution. Dump some fries on the street, dump a bag of potatoes on the street somewhere, and then wait for fucking Henrietta to come by and you know, chop her head off. It seems so simple, Grimey.
It really does, yeah. But they don't do any of that. What do? They go and hire some outsider from Florida who is a chicken catching expert named Anthony De Palmer.
Hold on now. First off, let me just take a quick jab at government. Typical government outsourcing a simple job to somebody who wants way too much money, who ends up being ineffective, and the problem's not actually gone by the time that person gets paid. That's number one. Number two, Anthony is not a chicken catching expert, Grimey. No. In fact, he is a giant alligator catching expert, if the rumors are to be believed. And so our local government believes that these skills are transferable, because why wouldn't they be? One oversized animal here, another oversized animal there. It's all the same job. It should all be so simple for him, right?
Is that for real? He's a giant alligator catching person?
Oh, yes.
Oh, did I miss that?
They mention it. They're actually going back, and they're trying to liken their situation to other situations that were similar that happened in other parts of the country. So his was like a giant gator, and they mentioned another instance, and I don't remember the animal, but that was like an oversized different animal somewhere else in the country. So they're like, well, this guy got the gator caught in Florida. Let's get him up here. He can be our chicken guy. Well, we all know how that works out, don't we, Grimey?
Oh, we certainly do. Yeah, not very well. So, but this guy in general, he's a real fucking character, let me tell you. He is wearing a flannel button-up oversuit over top of a Hawaiian button-up. He's got khakis on. He's also sporting an old pair of Converse sneakers. And he's smoking the fattest fucking cigar you've ever seen. And he has a hat, and it says his name, Tony, over the top of it.
That's badass.
It's pretty badass, yeah.
I don't love this guy. I think he's a skis ball, but that, I might take a cue from him. I might have to get myself a hat with my own name on it as well.
Yeah, it's kind of giving the dude energy.
That
Like Big
or I've been
Lebowski?
watching a lot of 30 Rock
Hmm.
lately. And there's a character on there, Frank. And Frank, his whole deal is that he wears a new hat every episode, and it always has like some random phrase on the hat that makes no sense, and it's giving me that same energy as well.
Basically, this guy, he's doesn't seem like he really has a good plan, but he's not going to tell you his plan until he talks about his money. And that's what he does. He sits everybody down. Everybody that's in this conference in the mayor's office, he sits them all down and he says, listen, I want $60K for the Boyd. And they're like,
Yeah,
wow,
for the Boyd.
$60K. They're like, holy shit. That's a lot of money. But Mayor, you're going to pay it, right? And he's like, well, that's more than I spent on my fucking campaign, guys. I can't just be throwing $60K. And then one guy's like, no. You're doing this because we can't have a bird doing shit like this around Jersey. And you're kind of depending on this being gone or else you're not going to be mayor. He's like, all right, yeah, you're right. We'll do that. And now the people of the town are kind of concerned how Tony's going to catch this chicken. And his plan is to have an equally large male robotic chicken to entice the hen.
Yeah, and that robotic chicken, it's kind of got like an afro, like some Jerry curls almost.
Yeah.
Like that was certainly a choice. Yeah, I don't know. And so this giant robot chicken, by the way, we should mention that they built it inside of a tent. I don't know, like to protect it from the elements or something. I don't.
Well, that was made out
I
of
don't
Dixie
underst-
cups. So
It was, yeah. It doesn't really look like a very convincing robot. But that shouldn't surprise anybody because this skis ball came up and he probably went to his local dentist and said, "Hey, can I borrow like 1,000 cups?" And they're like, "Okay, but why?" He says, "I'll pay you back after." And so he's just like cutting up Dixie cups. He's probably got like a metal pail for the head or something. It's truly a work of art.
it really is. Yeah. It clucks too. Makes noises. It's a really awesome bird. And I'm loving that I know of at least 3 robotic chickens now. I'm really, really happy about that.
You know, okay. Well, what are the other 2?
Well, there's this one. Then there's Robot Chicken from Cartoon Network.
Right.
And
Sure,
then
yeah.
I kind of feel like Franken-Turkey is technically half. He's like a cyborg chicken, I feel like.
That's fair. Yeah. It's got the Frankenstein thing. Yeah.
Yeah, more mechanical than organic, I feel. So, yeah, I'm counting it.
More mechanical than organical. Yes.
Organical, yeah. So, do we want to jump into some light racism?
Boy, do I.
I'm sure. I knew you were waiting for it. This is perhaps the best part of the movie. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. But like I could, I guess, because this is a very old film. Like, I guess it fits with that time. But like, man, would never fly today.
No, here's the thing. I feel like I suppose it's technically yellowface what they're doing here, because the professor is playing. I won't even commit to saying what Asian nationality he's doing. He's just doing a very general, very racist Asian caricature.
Yeah.
That is not dissimilar to the one that Mickey Rooney did in Breakfast at Tiffany's. Maybe a little. He eased up a little on the
accents. Yeah,
but
I feel like the accent's not quite there, but
it's still pretty offensive.
pretty
all
bad.
things considered. And here's the thing: is this came out in 1984. It very much feels like something that you'd see in like the 50s or the 60s. So the fact that they were deciding to do this in the mid 80s was a little shocking to me. When this was happening, I did turn to you and I said, "Oh my God, he's doing the Krusty the Clown bit."
yeah, totally.
And for those of you who might not be remembering or might not be in the know, there's an episode of The Simpsons where Krusty is just totally bombing as a comedian. And he kind of talks to himself. He says, "Okay, it's time to bust out the A material." And then at that point, Krusty the Clown puts in some fake giant buck teeth and pulls his eyes back in a very racist manner, and then starts doing a similar racist Asian caricature. And Jay Leno is off stage watching this happen, and he says, "Oh my God, what's he gonna do next? The flapping Dickie?" And then all of a sudden, Krusty the Clown grabs a string out of his tuxedo collar, and the Dickie portion of his his tuxedo vest starts flapping up and down. And that's stuck with me for a long time because it is just so wildly offensive, but it's satire at the same time. Hoboken Chicken Emergency is not doing satire. It is just doing it because it feels that that's what it should be doing. And I'm like, wow, they totally Krusty the Clown this scene. And it's something.
Yeah. The old Asian grandfather from Gremlins in the beginning of the movie there, where he's like getting the Mogwai from the shop. Yeah, it's like that. He's got these like really long handlebar mustache thing going on. The beard, the little goatee, like, man, it is, it's interesting. Kind of can't believe that this happened. Anyways, so he's disguised himself as this Oriental chicken expert. Arthur meets up with him, and they go talk to the mayor again to see if he can take a crack at getting the chicken before Tony does. And his idea is to just be nice to the chicken.
What a thought, you know? And who would have figured that trying to be kind to a living creature might actually pay off? It might be a net positive for everybody involved.
Right. Well, I feel like they go to some really weird lengths here. Like they put up signs. "Have you hugged your chicken today?" And "Henrietta, we love you," assuming that this chicken can read signs.
Well, you know, I mean, I guess going back to earlier in the conversation when the mom was calling the chicken stupid, maybe she was jealous. Maybe the chicken does have a human brain and can do humanoid things like read or understand the English language. We don't know. Clearly it works, by the way, these signs and this outpouring of love. So maybe the chicken can read them after all.
You know what? I think you're right. The more I think about it, the more I don't feel like his mom probably could have walked down a ladder.
That's true. That not with wings.
No.
You know, you replace her hands with wings. I don't think she's getting off that building by herself.
Oh, fuck the wings. I don't think she could do it without them.
That's my point. That chicken is more coordinated with wings and rubber feet than that mom is with human hands and opposable thumbs, okay?
All right. So mom hates this chicken for sure. But the police are now feeding her potatoes. The ending, it just kind of sneaks up on you, I feel like. But it is the weirdest ending I think I've ever seen. So Arthur goes out to find his bird. It's been days since the people of Jersey have been nice to Henrietta, and he still hasn't found her. But he's out in the most sketchy neighborhood I think I've ever seen. He walks up into this park area where there's actually a homeless man standing next to a barrel that's on fire. I mean, talk about fucking dramatic here. It was really strange to see that in a children's movie. But Arthur just kind of walks up to where there's this park area. Lo and behold, there's Henrietta behind him up on this playground. They reunite. Everyone's happy. The mayor and his people join them for Thanksgiving. There's cameras on them and news crew and all that good stuff. And Arthur gets his honorary chicken license from the state of Jersey. Oh, so Arthur's dad, all of a sudden, he's a believer in chickens, and he believes every boy should have a pet chicken. The end.
Every boy. Yep. Yeah. It really does kind of wrap up very quickly, and the dad decides that he's gonna let him keep the chicken, and presumably the whole trucker situation resolves itself. You know, and everybody has a happy Thanksgiving. I don't know. Did we really touch on that very much towards the end? I can't remember, but I don't think that
not
we
really.
did.
No, I have a lot of questions about this and my final thoughts. Like, one, it feels really, really rushed. There was barely any climax. All right. That I feel like is pretty. I mean, I climaxed as soon as I seen the chicken, but so now Tony the chicken catcher, he's just gone. Like, there's no mention to him at all. Did he just take his money and run? Did they pay him?
Yep. He definitely got paid because he was not going to do anything without getting paid. So that man came in, swindled the government, swindled the taxpayers, and, you know, just jetted off to God knows where. I feel like he said that he had somebody waiting for him somewhere, like some tropical island or something like that. So I bet he's on like a Caribbean island with like
catching
3
more
babes
alligators and
surrounding
stuff.
him. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, he just took off, and we don't get much resolution from him. And that definitely felt quite rushed. I agree with you there.
Speaking of resolutions, we don't ever know what the hell goes on with the mad scientist. He's just gone too. Like that little table area that they were all sitting at the Boskowicz or Bobowicz or whatever the fuck their last name is. That their table at their family, their house. He's not there with like the mayor and stuff. You figure he would be part of this.
Don't forget, the professor was not welcome in town anymore. Like, he was afraid that people were going to find out that he
was
made the
one that did
chicken
it.
or
Yeah.
something like that, and they were going to, like, lynch him or something to that effect because people are crazy and unforgiving, and, like, he's got a point there. So I think that he kind of popped back in to help to make sure that the chicken didn't, like, get killed on this kid, and then he just jetted off to God knows where as well. Like, I'd like to believe that he probably like went to Dubai, and Dubai is in the state that it's in right now because of him. He like headed that. He was like, we're gonna make the most beautiful city of all time. And also in this city, if I have some giant birds and some square fish, okay, whatever, people will love it because it's in Dubai.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. He probably like called his mom. Was like, hey, Ma. Yeah, big chicken got out. I gotta leave town for a couple months. It'll simmer down a little bit, and I'll be back. Maybe in time for Christmas.
Never returns.
Never returns. He's just out in Dubai selling his fucking square fish. All right, so finally here, I think the biggest plot hole. The police are aware of Arthur. So like all the emergency teams and stuff, they all know about Arthur and this chicken. Why didn't they just reunite him and the chicken? They've been out there feeding the fucking thing for at least a couple of days, being nice to it. A lot of people in the neighborhood have seen this chicken and are being nice to it. And they've seen the headlines in the newspapers. Why didn't they just bring Arthur to his chicken, reunite them? And I feel like this problem probably would have halted a lot quicker than what was there.
You're giving the cops too much credit here, man. Listen, big city... busy state. They're lucky that they're getting their 2 lunch breaks in a day. Okay, they're not going to go out of their way to make sure that this chicken gets where it needs to be. You kidding me? That's next shift's problem. All right, the night shift is going to take care of that.
So on and so forth. Basically, the night shift's going to be like,
Yeah,
no, this is
exactly.
day shift's problem. No, I don't give a shit. Oh, yeah. Just some weird little plot holes, I feel like. But I don't know. Other than that, how about you? You have any final thoughts about this one? Would you recommend it?
Okay, I have one thing I want to address because I don't know how I made it through this whole talk without addressing this. It took me a while. And I know that it's Ralphie. I know it's Peter Billingsley. Okay, but the way that he's talking in this movie,
Oh, man.
throughout the whole thing, it sounded so familiar to me. Like his speaking pattern. I'm like, what is that? Because he doesn't sound exactly like he does in A Christmas Story. He's definitely a little bit more refined in A Christmas Story, a little bit better of an actor. But he does have a little bit of that like stuttery ness to his manner of speaking in that movie. So I'm listening to him talk throughout this, and I finally, it dawns on me. I go, oh my God, he's talking like Dr. Steve Brule. And
for your health.
For your health, Dr. Drenny Dringus. Okay. For those of you maybe not in the know, Tim and Eric, they have a spin-off show called Check It Out with Dr. Steve Brule. It was a character that kind of got started on one of their other shows, and he's played by John C. Reilly, and he's just like a giant idiot. John C. Reilly is playing a giant idiot who thinks he's a doctor and thinks he's smarter than he actually is, but he has this manner of speaking that he kind of just talk like this a lot, and as well, and oh yeah, Like, you know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
he kind of talks like that where you think he's done with a sentence, and then he tacks on a couple more, like, yeah, at the end of it.
Yeah.
And Ralphie in this movie is doing that. And I was like, oh my God, we've got a baby Steve Brule. So for that fact alone, I have to recommend it. I just think
Just
it's
to
a
see him
great time. You
stuttering.
can get so much out of this movie. Just from the fact, giant chicken, sleazy chicken catcher, some commentary on politics that kind of still rings true in the modern age.
Yeah.
What's not to like? Baby Steve Brule?
Yeah, I was gonna say there is maybe some small undertones of like a social commentary on small town life and maybe some media hysteria here. So it does have that going for it. The dated practical effects, I feel like, just enhance the movie just a little bit.
Yeah.
It really adds to the charm in the production, and it just kind of gives it like this, I don't know, endearing yet unconvincing quality, which is really, really fun.
It's very Sesame Street.
Yes,
its way.
that's it. Mm-hmm.
But even less convincing than Sesame Street, because a lot of great work is being done on Sesame Street. Big Bird, like you believe it, like Big Bird's real. This, you don't for a second believe that bird is real.
No, not at all.
But that's kind of to the benefit of the movie. It's fun and it's cheesy, and it's got a good heart to it. There's nothing outright terrible here. And what I will say is we have a utter shameful lack of Thanksgiving movies and media in general. It always just kind of gets the shaft in favor of more generic holiday fare, or especially Christmas. So can beggars really be choosy? Like, here's another one that I didn't know about, you didn't know about. Presumably a lot of folks don't know about the Hoboken Chicken Emergency. It's technically Thanksgiving, and if you're kind of hard up looking for Thanksgiving things to watch, you could and will do a lot worse than this, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's I can't say it's going to be at every Thanksgiving going forward, but at least a couple of them. I mean, it's got a lot of fun things going for it. I think if you haven't seen it before, you should see it. You should see it at least once. It might become your next favorite movie. You never know.
If you're a millennial or an elder millennial, or maybe even like a younger Gen X, this is great to put on for a Friendsgiving. If you're going to have your friends over, and you're going to be having some drinks, and you're just going to be shooting the shit and telling jokes anyways, you would have a really great time with this. Like, your parents aren't going to understand it and get the kitsch on display here. But your friends will. Kind of not as bad, but think of like bad movie nights, Troll 2, Birdemic, things like that. This is sort of in that vein, but definitely more watchable, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanksgiving time comes around, you get your friends in there and you tell them, we're going to watch Pete Billingsley's other holiday special, which is equally as good as The Christmas Story.
Yes, and I'm not talking about A Christmas Story Christmas. Oh, and no, I'm not talking about Elf. No, I'm talking about a third one that you've never heard of.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I liked it. I would watch it again. Not every year like you said, but hey, this is pretty fun. I had a good time. You know who's going to love this, Grimey? The mice that live in the store. I'm going to leave this one out for them tonight.
Yeah, I think their copy of Sleepless in Seattle is probably, I don't know if we can watch that one anymore. I think I'm just going to throw this out. But anyways, man, would you look at the time?
Yeah, it is about that time. We should probably pack things up and head home so that we can pop our Hungry Mans in the oven. And, maybe go watch some Bob's Burgers Thanksgiving. Something highbrow, perhaps Dutch.
Oh, Dutch. That's a very, very good recommendation. All right. Yep. Hit the lights. I'll get the door.